Zombie. A survivor's note. The world collapsed 5 years ago. A devastating virus spread like an uncontrollable wildfire, turning humanity into soulless, ravenous creatures. Cities, once vibrant with life, became open-air graveyards, where whispers of the past echoed through crumbling buildings and abandoned cars. Modernity was swallowed by chaos, and what remained was a silent world, overtaken by restless shadows and traces of a bygone era. Daniel, 35, had survived where so many had fallen. Isolated in a 10th-floor apartment of an abandoned building, he lived at the mercy of time and instinct. Writing in his journal had become his lifeline, a refuge for memories of a world that no longer existed and a record of his daily struggle. It was his way of holding on to his humanity in the midst of the barbarity. That night, however, something changed. As he wrote, he noticed an unusual silence hanging in the air. The wind carried a different weight, as if the very atmosphere was holding its breath. Then came the sound, low at first, like distant thunder, but growing, approaching with an unrelenting rhythm. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard every sound this broken world had to offer, but this one was new. Driven by a growing unease, Daniel moved to the window. Among the streets filled with wandering zombies, one stood out. Unlike the others, it wasn't aimlessly wandering. It was still staring directly at the building. Even from 10 floors up, Daniel felt the weight of that empty, feverish gaze. He yanked the curtain shut and took a deep breath. "They don't look. They don't think," he muttered, trying to convince himself. But the feeling that something was wrong refused to leave him. He tried to ignore the fear by writing in his journal, jotting down every detail, as if turning the absurd into words could make it less real. Then came the noise. Footsteps on the stairs. It was impossible. He had locked every entrance to the building. His heart raced as he turned off the flashlight and crouched in the darkness, straining to listen. The footsteps were dragging but deliberate, climbing one floor at a time. His sanctuary had been breached. And worse, he had no idea what was coming for him. The apartment door creaked open, revealing the dark, empty hallway. Nothing, no sign of movement, but Daniel knew something was there. He could feel it. Then the presence revealed itself. Behind him, turning in a reflex, Daniel froze. The zombie standing before him shouldn't have been different from the others, but something about it was disturbingly unusual. Its eyes weren't just empty. They were aware. Horror mixed with disbelief as the creature rasped in a hoarse, slurred voice. "Help! All lost." Before Daniel could react, the creature collapsed, dead, or something close to it. The silence lasted only a moment before a new sound came from the stairs. More footsteps, many footsteps. Panic exploded in his chest. He ran to his journal, clutching it like a sacred relic. He barricaded the door with old furniture and retreated to the back of the apartment, trying to think. What he had just seen made no sense. Zombies didn't talk. They didn't ask for help. But this one had. The creature's awareness wasn't just a macabre detail. It was a warning. Something much bigger was happening. And Daniel knew he didn't have much time to figure it out. With the journal pressed tightly to his chest, Daniel ran to the roof. His footsteps echoed like a racing heartbeat as the sounds of the zombies multiplied behind him. When he reached the top, his blood ran cold. He was surrounded. The roof gave him a full view of the city. A sea of the dead churned in the streets below, and more creatures were emerging, as if drawn to his presence, as if they knew, as if they were hunting. He flipped through the journal desperately, his hands trembling. Among his old notes, he found a theory he had written months earlier. The virus might be more than just a biological plague. What if it had a mind? A collective consciousness? The stairwell to the roof filled with decaying bodies. Daniel had nowhere left to run. But if he was going to fall, he wouldn't let his story die with him. With quick movements, he stuffed the journal into a bag and tied it to the base of an antenna, protecting it from the elements and looters. If anyone survived, his story would survive too. As the zombies closed in, he let out a primal scream, a sound that mixed fear and defiance. The final act of a man against a world that wanted him dead. Then the chaos swallowed him. Weeks later, a group of survivors arrived in the devastated city. Searching through the rubble, one of them found a bag tied to a rooftop antenna. Inside, Daniel's journal rested intact. As they flipped through its pages, their expressions changed. The journal wasn't just a record of pain and resistance. It was a warning. Among the notes, Daniel had left disturbing clues about the true danger they faced. The virus wasn't just a biological accident. It could think. It was evolving. Those words changed everything. It wasn't enough to just survive anymore. They had to understand and fight. Guided by the testimony of a man who had defied the unknown, the group left the city. They didn't have all the answers, but now they had a purpose. And, perhaps, a chance to save what was left of humanity. Don't forget to like and follow me to listen to the best mysterious stories. Like, comment, and share with someone that would love this.